I look up from a steaming bowl of rice-a-roni to find my roommate Alex staring at me with a bug-eyed expression of terror. She sits shocked in her seat across the table, staring at me, unable to formulate words. What? Is there something on my face? There's a tick! I see a tick in your ear! I freeze. My other roommate, Jillian, runs around the dinner table to stare at my ear. She shrieks, "Ew, ew, ew, ew! It's in your ear!" Alex begins to scream as well, and I plead, "Get it off me, get it off me!" while waving my hands in front of my face in frazzled, helpless distress. This was a couple of weeks after completing my junior year at Michigan Tech, where I was majoring in applied ecology and environmental studies with a concentration in plant ecology and wetlands. Longest major ever. This last semester, a PhD student approached me, asking if I'd be interested in working as a plant tech on a bird research site in northern Wisconsin. I'd been looking for research experience, so I enthusiastically accepted. I'd never spent much time in northern Wisconsin, but I suspected it wasn't much different from Michigan. So I packed up my trusty Subaru and moved to a research station in Minocqua, Wisconsin for the summer. My roommates were two other Michigan Tech women, Alex and Jillian. We all worked on a field tech team for the study and shared a small room with bunk beds at the station. Upon arriving in Minocqua, we learned that an ideal tick habitat has both hardwood forest and grass with a large deer population, exactly where we were working. We spent our first hour on the job learning the difference between deer and wood ticks. Most important fact, one can carry Lyme's disease, the other does not. Since all of us on the team were ecologists, it was presented in a very scientific manner with much, that's interesting. What does the life cycle look like? Looking back, I feel like I should have treated this conversation in less of a scientific manner and as more of how to handle a life-threatening biohazard. Lyme's disease has a wide range of severe symptoms if not caught and treated quickly. Early on, symptoms include fever, headache, fatigue, and a characteristic bullseye skin rash. If left untreated, the infection can spread to the joints, heart, and the nervous system. Our boss showed us a map and explained that we were in the red zone, the area with the highest concentration of ticks in the state. After that talk, I was well aware that there were ticks in the area, but I had no idea how many. That was until I spent the first day in the field, picking off the ticks crawling up my body and throwing them back into the forest. I've never seen a tick in real life before that first day. They were gross. 8 legs and a rotund body accessorized with creepy pinching mouth parts. I'm not usually afraid of insects, but these things were horrific. Their legs are so sticky that you can't just brush them off your skin. You have to intentionally pull them off. Our boss said that we should pull them off as soon as we see them because they try to climb up your body seeking warm places. Ugh, disgusting. That first day, I tried to keep track of how many ticks I pulled off myself, and I counted 30 in just a few hours and then lost count. Early in the season, my roommates and I were living in this large old log cabin by ourselves. This log cabin could easily sleep 30 and was dark and creaky. The walls were covered with an assortment of taxidermied animals. A dead-eyed deer, a crow seemingly caught mid-flight, and a gun rack made of deer hooves, all just adding to the creep factor. We explored the cabin on our first day we moved in, and it felt like a dank, derelict museum. Although we were the only 3 in the whole place, we chose to stay in a corner of the room with 4 beds. About 3 days into work, our roommate Jillian woke up screaming in the middle of the night because she felt a tick crawling on her. All the lights were flipped on, her bed was inspected, and sure enough, there was a tick crawling in her sheets. After this incident, we established a field-closed quarantine zone in a desperate attempt to keep ticks out of our living space. When we came home from work, we had to strip off all our clothes, place them in a dirty laundry zone far from our bedroom. I thought this was extreme at first, but I did it to make Jillian comfortable. From time to time, we would still spot one rogue tick in our room, scream about it, and then remove it with great disgust. "Get it off me! Get it off me!" I pleaded as we ran from the kitchen cabinet to the cabin's bedroom. The lifeless animals looked on as Alex and Jillian debated who would remove the tick and how they would do it. Jillian recalled our 1-hour training. "Well, we definitely can't burn it off with a match, remember? If you do that, the tick will vomit the contents of its stomach into the host, and oftentimes the mouth parts stay attached." My mind raced. That's me. I'm the host. I don't want tick puke inside of me. Alex shouted, "We need the tweezers. Where are the tweezers?" When Jillian asked me to hold very still as they peered intensely at my ear, inspecting the tick. The tick was latched onto the fold of my upper ear, where cooler people than I often get piercings. It's really in there. It looks like it's been there a while. It's totally huge and engorged with blood. This does not help me. I continue to scream, "Get it off, get it off. Will one of you please get it off me?" As I squirm, imagining a massive tick throbbing with my blood nested up in the fold of my ear, feeding off me, making my ear its comfy home. I just needed them to rip this thing off. Neither one of them wanted to do it. It was like a scene from a Three Stooges movie. My arms flailing about, signaling, "Get this thing off me!" Them tossing the tweezers back and forth like a hot potato. Alex took charge. She brought me to the sink so she could use the light from the vanity above. She ordered me to hold still. I was squeezing my eyes shut tight, teeth clenched in anticipation, while intermittently yelling, "Get it off, get it off!" Alex attempting to steady her hand, gripping the tweezers. Jillian stayed close for moral support, but she was too scared to actually do anything except wince and try her best not to scream out loud. Suddenly, there was a sharp pinch in my ear, just a brief pain, and then Alex yelled, "I got it!" while Jillian squealed and ran out of the bathroom. There was some blood, but mostly I felt a sense of relief washing over me, knowing that this blood-sucking bug had been removed from my ear. Then my sense of safety became a sudden fear. What if there's another one I can't see somewhere? A thought that hit all three of us simultaneously. After this incident, we added additional protocol to our tick prevention regime, tick checking each other. According to the CDC, a tick check should include the scalp, behind the ears, and body folds, such as armpits, behind the knees, where ticks tend to attach. Body folds. Ugh. From this point forward, we knew that our own health, safety, and sanity, but mostly sanity, was at stake if we didn't check each other daily. So from this point forward, as soon as we would return home from the field, we'd all strip down to just our underwear, inspect each other, picking off any ticks found. Then we'd all take showers and change into clean clothes. The protocols were extreme and necessary. The ticks were everywhere. They were enemy number one, and we had to work together to keep each other safe. Truth be told, my boss that summer was an absolute nightmare, as was my job. I ended up getting Lyme's disease a month and a half in, and she wouldn't let me take a day off to go to the doctors. So for about a week, I felt really sick and kept falling asleep on the job in the woods. Nothing about the situation was safe or ethically sound. I finally made it just 15 minutes before the local urgent care closed, and the doctor immediately prescribed me antibiotics I had to take for several weeks and avoid contact with the sun. I worked outside. Jillian only made it a few weeks on the job before quitting. The ticks scared her so much they literally made her crazy. Without telling anyone, she packed all of her belongings in her car and just drove back to Michigan one day. She called a few days later and apologized to Alex and me, telling us that she just couldn't take it anymore. She was diagnosed with Lyme's and given antibiotics shortly after returning home. Alex made it until the last week on the job to get Lyme's. So she quit a week early to take the medication and get better, because our boss wouldn't let her take time off either. It was a crazy summer filled with disgusting insects, wild animal encounters, and the worst boss ever. I thought about quitting every single day, but I didn't want to disappoint my professors or lose my research fellowship. I thought I needed to stick it out and power through so I could get into graduate school. I believe I'm the only field tech who made it all the way through that summer without quitting. And I did make it out alive, having survived Lyme's with some really good stories, even better friends, and a vow to never work in a tick-infested area ever again.
Hey, that's VAMP first-timer Sarah Moe.